Keir Starmer has become the center of a storm that questions whether he is quietly working behind the scenes to rejoin the European Union, despite his public assurances to the contrary. Amid growing accusations from critics, including Nigel Farage and Laurence Fox, that Starmer may be planning Britain's return to the EU, albeit under a different guise, many are asking, is Keir Starmer the silent partner in the UK's covert re-engagement with the EU? Starmer, who was a leading figure in the Remain campaign during the Brexit referendum, has long faced suspicion from Brexiteers, who view his pro-European leanings as a potential threat to the hard-won sovereignty Britain secured through its 2016 vote to leave the EU. Despite his promises to make Brexit work, critics argue that his rhetoric about closer ties with the EU and the potential for economic alignment may signal something more substantial, perhaps even a backdoor attempt to re-enter the EU single market or revive the UK's relationship with European institutions. The accusations gained significant traction after Starmer's comments about pragmatic economic cooperation with the EU, which some critics have interpreted as a clear sign that he is preparing to abandon the Brexit deal. With growing speculation that Starmer's Labour Party may consider a softer, more conciliatory approach to the EU, many are alarmed at the prospect of Britain being shackled once again by EU regulations and laws, without the power to influence them. For those on the right, Starmer's perceived shift is nothing short of a betrayal. Farage has called it a silent surrender to Brussels, warning that such a move would betray the democratic will of the people who voted to leave the EU. Laurence Fox, another vocal critic, echoed these sentiments, suggesting that Starmer is playing a dangerous game that could drag Britain back into the EU's orbit in all but name. The people voted for independence, and Starmer is working to undermine that, Fox argued, pointing to Labour's recent pledges to make Brexit work, which he believes is code for rejoining under a different label. The potential political consequences for Starmer and the Labour Party are immense. Many fear that any attempt to realign with the EU could alienate the working-class voters who switched from Labour to the Conservatives in 2019, largely due to Brexit. These voters, particularly in the so-called Red Wall seats, are seen as pivotal in the next general election. The Labour leader risks reigniting the cultural and political battles of the Brexit years, and possibly triggering a fresh wave of anger from voters who feel betrayed by a party they once trusted. For Starmer, the challenge is navigating between two increasingly hostile groups, the hardline Brexiteers who view any rapprochement with the EU as a betrayal, and the pro-European elements within his own party who are pushing for a more EU-friendly approach. Striking a balance between these factions may prove impossible if his critics' allegations prove true. Is Starmer truly the silent partner in Britain's return to the EU, or are these accusations just another round of political spin? The next few months will likely determine whether Labour can maintain its tenuous support among both Remain and Leave voters. The stakes are high, the future of the nation's relationship with Europe hangs in the balance, and the consequences of Starmer's next moves could reverberate for years to come. As the debate intensifies, the British public must remain vigilant, questioning whether Starmer is really delivering on his promise to respect the referendum result, or whether he is quietly working toward a future that could undo Brexit altogether. Keep watching closely, this is a story that is far from over.